Oh, starting.
Hi, everybody. Angel here with ConfidenceIsCatchy.com. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Tuesday and our next edition of Catch This. And as you can see, I have a guest. I told you I was going to have something special for you today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Angel. I own ConfidenceIsCatchy.com, where we link people with information on how to build confidence. And this last couple days, we've been talking about courage, and that's just happened to be what Bridget's all about. So let me introduce to you local lion tamer and cage rattler, Dr. Bridget Cooper.
Thanks. Hi, how are you? So, yeah.
Tell us whatever you want to tell us about courage.
God, so many things. So, all right. So when Angel asked me to do this on courage, of course, she reminded me of my cage rattler status. And for those of you who aren't familiar, I do a lot of executive coaching and leadership workshops and training and keynotes and coaching. And my message is always squarely focused on power. I'm always focused on getting people to stand more firmly and clearly in their power. Because when we all show up in the fullness of our power, we don't grab other people's power and we don't give up our own to people who don't know how to handle it. So I'm always about, like, no matter if I'm talking about communication, like people are like, oh, can you talk about this topic? I'm like, power. Can you talk about this topic? I'm like, power. Yeah, because it always comes down to power. Mm-hmm. So this whole piece about courage, I love, and I love it even more like symbolically, because if anybody's seen some of my photos like on little landslides or on Power Play, I have this thing about lions, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm all about the lion, and the lion's magnificence in its clarity and appreciation of its own power and its own presence, and how much power comes from that, and how much you just look at the lion. I mean, yeah, it's big, but even if you had like a miniature cute little lion, you'd still be like, holy crap, that thing is like fierce, right? So you and I were talking about courage earlier before we got on this, and you were like, so we're going to talk about courage. I'm like, you said, do you have a courage story? I'm like, I have a couple.
How many do you need, really?
Don't we all have a courage story? But I want to frame my courage story from 2 points. So when we talk about courage, I like to think about it as two places where we show up with courage. One is in showing up, and one is in rising up. So breaking them down, showing up is simply showing up. So many times what people are actually caught not doing is just not coming to the table in their full authenticity, in the full power of their message, in what it was that they were put here to do. They're like hiding behind cloaks of bad experiences and horrible voices that they've got going on in their head, or naysayers that they've surrounded themselves with, or just fears about what's going to happen, if I show up and I show people and I tell people who I am and what I stand for and what I want and what I feel like I deserve, what will happen? So we don't even show up, so we hide. So the first piece about courage is simply having the wherewithal to say, you know what? I deserve to be in the best possible space for me. And not only that, it's not even just about you, like, oh, am I arrogant by saying that? No, because here's the thing. When you don't do that, when you don't show up in your full authenticity and your full power, you rob the world of your awesome. Like, you rob the world of the thing that you were put here to share. And I find that so frustrating. Like it'd be like if Taylor Swift, I mean, again, I know a lot of people don't like Taylor Swift. Sorry, Taylor. I like you. I see the bad press, but you've got an amazing voice, woman. Now, what if you were like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't sing. Maybe I should be an accountant. And not that there's anything wrong with being an accountant if you're good with numbers. I'm not an accountant for a reason. You are. Okay, have at it. But why would you do that if your true talent, if your true passion, if the gift that you were given before you got here was to do something else? Do that thing. Because when you don't, you rob the world of Red and Romeo and Juliet and whatever, all the other, I can't even remember, all the songs, right? All the White Horse. You rob the world of that. So just showing up is such the cornerstone element of courage, of just saying, you know what, would I, and by the way, let me stop for a second. Part of it is the self-doubt thing, the self-doubt that creeps in, the inner critic that like holds you back, right, from everything. Mm-hmm. So I like to think about it this way. When you go look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I don't know, girl, I don't think you're up for that. Oh, you're not good enough. You're too this or not enough that, or whatever the inner critic is telling you, all the lies that you're being told. I want you to imagine looking at a newborn baby, and I want you to imagine saying that to him or her. I want you to imagine just looking at them and going, you don't deserve greatness. You don't deserve love. You don't deserve adoration. You don't deserve to stand in the spotlight. You don't deserve to make a difference. You don't deserve to ask for that attention, that validation, that connection, that passion. You don't deserve that. Now, if you have done this, I want you to take yourself straight to DCF. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, no, I'm actually not, because if you do that, seriously, I have a throat punch coming for you. I'm just kidding. Anyway, not really. So you would never do that. We would never do that. We would never hand that message. But you know what? You are, you were, and in you is that little innocent, amazing bundle of awesome waiting to show up in the world. That's what you are. Your legs are longer and your arms are longer, and I don't know, maybe your head's the same size. I think that's how that works. But anyway, you are that person. But some stuff has happened to you along the way that said, hey, yeah, you're not that great. So, okay, first, show up. Second, rise up. That means when life knocks you down, and boys and girls, it will knock you down. And not just once, many, many, many times. Rising up, getting up and brushing yourself off and being like, you got another one? You got more for me, life? Bring it, because I got this, right? That is courage. That is saying, you know what? Whatever life hands to me, I am stronger and faster and better than that. I am not going to let it take me down because of note 1 that we just got over, which was, hey, guess what? You were born to be something amazing. Be something amazing. And in that rising up, you get to show yourself how amazing you actually are. And so you asked me for a story, so I'm going to tell you a story. I don't even know what the time is here. Okay, we're done time. So here's my story. So I decided years ago, I had been approached by a number of people saying, you should really be on a TED stage. You've got like a TED message. You've got some stuff to say at TED. So I said, all right, let me go for it. So I made 202017 the year of TED. I'm like, I'm going to make this happen.
This was on your bucket list.
It was on my bucket list, yeah. And I had people recommend me, and I went and I nominated myself because I think I'm worthy. Mm-hmm. And I got accepted. And I'm like, oh my God, and I'm going to be in Newport, Rhode Island. I mean, who doesn't want to be in Newport, Rhode Island doing a TED Talk, right? Yeah. So I prepared, and I wrote this speech, and I had people look at it, and I had a speaker coach, and I did all this stuff.
Oh my God, you did everything.
I did. I totally prepared. I teed it up. I told everybody about it. I practiced everywhere.
Like ad nauseum for weeks.
Oh my God, and for weeks. And I even, like, in front of my dogs, like, my dogs were riveted. I mean, I swear they probably could have done the speech themselves, but they were listening to it. And to the point where my dog, who is one of my dogs, is freaking annoying, and she started barking at some, I don't know, leaf outside in the middle of me timing and taping my speech with no notes. And I walked over to the dog, took her by the collar, walked over to her crate, put the blanket over it so she couldn't see whatever leaf it was that was distracting her, making her bark. And I walked back away, and I never broke statement. Like, I kept saying the speech over and over. Like, that's how memorized this thing was. Like, I could wake up and I would remember word 192, and I could tell you 191 and 194 and all the way through. Anyway, so I get to TED, right? Now I have, again, practiced in front of audiences, and in front of a tape, anything. I get to TED. I'm the last speaker, right? And I've got, like, I don't know, 50 some odd people there supporting me, right? People watching all around the world. This thing, yeah, you were there. And it was live streamed, and so I had friends in Switzerland watching, and Italy. Like, I mean, this thing was, my aunt was watching in California. So I get up there, and I'm standing, and I speak for a living, okay, folks? Because this is not like, I mean, can you tell? I never shut up, I never stop thinking. So I'm up there, and I'm going through my speech, and I got the front end of it nailed, and I get to, like, what is in my mind, the third of 10 pages. And I get to, like, the second sentence, and midway through the sentence, poof. Like I don't even know English words gone. Like, nothing is in there at all. Like, I have not one
blank
word.
Page.
Blank page. Like, and I'm not even panicking. I'm just standing there going, well, this is not what I planned. Like, this is odd. Like, I'm standing here. There are like 400 people in the audience, and however many people are watching from all around the world. And I don't have any words to share with them anymore. Like, I had all these words. I had lots of words. I had, like,
10 pages of words.
Yeah, 10 pages of words. I don't have any words right now, right? So I'm standing there. Now, I want you to imagine this for a second. So it's uncomfortable when you watch someone freeze on stage. Now, freezing usually involves panic. I had no panic, just absolute like blank slateness, right? Just like my blonde had just infiltrated my brain and I had nothing left in there. And I'm standing there and you think it's uncomfortable watching someone pause, right? So I'm going to do it. I'm going to be talking to you and now I'm going to... Now you're freaking out right in that like 1.1 second that I stopped. Now wait, I'm going to do it for 3. Wow, you're like, oh my God, would she start talking again? Now I want you to imagine for a second, Angel. Well, you were there, you don't have to imagine.
I was there, I know.
All right. 24 seconds. I counted because I went back to the tape the next morning and watched it. I stood there silent for 24 seconds. I mean, I went into prayer mode, like, okay, girl, it's somewhere in here. I mean, you would know
you were
the
like
speech.
center.
I was like center. I like went like this, and I'm like looking around in like the deep recesses of my mind. Nothing. Not one thing. So after 24 seconds, I'm like, I am not doing these people any good standing out here. This is clearly not my plan. So I looked out at the audience and I went, give me a minute. And I walked off stage. Like, who does that? You were supposed to walk onto a TED stage and off, but I walked on, off, and then back on again. Because I went off stage and the organizer and all the volunteers are backstage and they're like, are you okay? What do you need? And I go, my speech? And I felt like Barbara Streisand demanding her green-only M&Ms because I was like, speech, let's go, pink page, yeah, here, now, right? I'm getting all barky at them because I'm clear that I got to get back out there. Like, I got people, I got a job to do, right? I got stuff to do. So they hand me my speech. I go, I get to the right page. I go, oh, that's what English looks like. Like, oh, I don't know. I started speaking Yiddish or something in my head and then I couldn't translate. I have no idea. So I look at the words and I go, oh yeah, that's a word that I could use, right? So I find the space on the speech. The woman looks at me and she's like, what do you want to do? You want to start from the top? I go, nope, I'm going to start it where I left off. I walk out. People start applauding. It's on the tape. I'm like, like,
oh no, we're not. No.
Hush. No, that is not what we're doing right now. Like, thank you, but I don't need your applause right now. I'll get that later. Right now, I have a job to do. Right? I almost did this, but I was like, that's going to show up on the tape probably. So I got back into the position I thought I was in when I stopped talking before, and then so they could splice the tape together, because that's all I was thinking about was when they splice this tape together, I want it to be uniform. And then I nailed it. Like, I went for it, right? So I'm doing this. And I got off stage, and people came up to me, and they were like, and this is the thing that I noticed. People came up to me, and those who I felt like were cool with their own level of courage were really clear with me that they thought that was awesome.
It was awesome.
The people who I could see were wrestling with their courage and who had been caught in the past or maybe even in the present in shame were like, are you okay? Now, I appreciated both responses for their intentions, right? But I noticed that, like, there was something that struck them as something I should be embarrassed about. And I thought, I'm like, I'm really not embarrassed because I did absolutely everything I could to prepare for that moment. And then it went haywire. And I loved the beauty of the moment. One of the things about courage is looking at your story and coming to understand it in the way that serves your purpose best. And what served my purpose best was standing in the message that I delivered on 2 levels. One, the message I was delivering, right? The actual speech in and of itself. But the second part was the fact that I, as you remember, in the symbolism of the speech, what I kicked off the talk saying, what I had just gotten finished saying basically was, I have a superpower, and my superpower is I can walk through fire. And so standing there and then walking off, and then standing there and then walking off, I actually walked through fire in front of y'all, right? So there was this like second order to the speech. So to me, I thought that's what courage is, and not like pat myself on the back, but just recognizing what that looked like. Was the courage of that was saying, I am standing in my truth. I am standing in my knowledge of the fact that I was put here for a reason. And I'm acknowledging the fact that even in my failure, if you can air quote it, there was a purpose in it that served other people. And that when I stand in that and I show people that standing in that is worthy and necessary for all of us to do, then I just deepen the message, right? Because yeah, like, and People are going to fall down, and you're going to, I hope you never stand on a TED stage. I forget what you were going to say. But if you do, you can be like, Bridget did this. She just walked off. She came back on, and it was all cool. You know, it all worked out. Yeah. So, yeah, like, I mean, that's what courage looks
it's
like.
Getting back up.
It's getting back up. It's like I fell down. I was on the mat. And here's one thing I want to, a little insider trick to tell you about courage and being on the mat and having to pick yourself back up off the mat. It's about what time are you in. And what I mean by that is so many of us are caught in yesterday and in tomorrow. And we're straddling today and forgetting that it's even here, right? So I will tell you that, and if you know the content of my speech, you appreciate the depth of this message. If I had gotten lost in yesterday, if I had slipped back to the place that I came from in that moment, I never would have come back and back on that stage, ever.
Right.
If I had gotten caught in the future and thought about like what my haters were going to say about me walking off the stage or what the tape might actually look like, I just said, no, I am in control only of the way that I stand and how I show up in this. I'm going to do that. And I stayed present. Because had I gone anywhere else in time, had I gone back or had I gone ahead, I never would have been able to hold the power and the courage of that moment and risen up in that moment. So you gotta stay right here, right now, because this is where all the power is. See what I mean? I'm right back to power. Anyway.
It's all about power.
It's all about power. Yeah.
Isn't she amazing?
Oh, thanks. You're the best.
She's going to be at our conference on April 29th. If you haven't gotten a ticket yet, oh my God, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, we're going to have fun.
ConstructingConfidenceLive.com, April 29th, Rocky Hill. You got to be there with this one.
There you go.
And me, and a few other awesome people. So that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in to Catch This. Go get your ticket. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.